As guitar players, ideally we'd have access to tons and tons of different guitars for some, tonal variety when we're in the recording process. However, that's not always realistic for most of us. Now, in Melodyne, in the sound editor specifically, we have access to a feature that allows us to copy the spectral information from one recording and place it onto another, which means that we can take the recording of one guitar and make it sound like a different guitar, which gives us some great options for layering or for, adding some richness to the stereo image. So let's take a look at a few examples of how useful this feature can be. So let's take a listen to this example track that we're working with. Now what we've got here is obviously drums and bass, but the guitars that you hear, I recorded all with one guitar. I just recorded it with my Stratocaster. And here's what the individual sort of isolated pairs of guitars sound like, just to get a better idea for what we're working with the tone. Now I've gone ahead and transferred all of these recordings into Melodyne ahead of time, and I used polyphonic decay mode as the algorithm that we're going to be using since we are playing guitar chords, of course. So what we want to do here is actually open up the track list so that we can easily swap between different tracks that Melodyne is on, because we're going to be, copying and pasting spectrums from one track to another, so it'll make it a lot easier. Let's also open up the sound editor, which you can access with this little icon here on the top left. Now, what we're looking at here is the spectral analysis, the average spectral analysis for the harmonics of the particular recording that we have selected here. Now, when I play this, you'll see that there are some little dots that go up and down, and that's going to represent the current level of each of the harmonics. So if we right click here in the spectrum, you can see that we have some options to reset, copy, paste, clear, or maybe even shuffle the spectrum, as we've seen in other videos. A very simple use case for the copy and paste spectrum that you might come across very easily is actually if you want to make some tonal changes. Let's just solo this particular guitar that we're listening to. And let's say I wanted to just kind of bump up the mid-range a little bit. I can select some of these, middle of the road bars here. Now, maybe what we want to do is actually just apply the same exact tonal adjustment to the other guitar that's in this pair. So if I copy this spectrum and I go to the other guitar here and I paste the spectrum, you can see that the exact same changes that I made on the first one have been applied to the second one, which means now that they sound like this. Let's say that we wanted to scrap that though. We can just go to either reset all or reset spectrum to go back to where we were on both of these. Where it gets really fun though is when we apply the spectrum from, let's say, a different guitar recording and apply it to what we've got here. So as of right now, I have 4 recordings of the same guitar, but I actually want 2 of them to sound like a different guitar. So what I've done is I have this recording of sort of a Les Paul style guitar, which sounds like this. So you can hear that it's still sort of a rhythm guitar, and this is what I would encourage you to do when you apply this process is choose a recording that's kind of in a similar style so that you'll get the best results for when you make this tonal adjustment here. I've already went ahead and transferred this sample guitar of our Les Paul style guitar into Melodyne using polyphonic decay mode once again. What we're going to do is you can see I've got the sample guitar selected on the top left on our track list here. And I'm going to right click the spectrum and I'm going to go to copy spectrum just as we did before and go to rhythm guitar 3 and 4 because those are the 2 guitars that I want to sound a little bit different. I'm going to paste the spectrum here once I've selected the correct track, and we'll do the exact same thing with rhythm guitar 4. We'll paste the spectrum from the sample guitar. And you can see that it's completely changed all of these sort of mean levels for the harmonics. So this is going to have a pretty drastic effect on our tone, which is exactly what we want. So let's take a listen to what this has done. So you can hear that it makes a pretty big difference, and it almost sounds like a completely different guitar, which is amazing. Now, I really like doing this where we can layer together for a more rich stereo image, the original guitars and also these adjusted guitars. So let's also take a listen to what the difference sounds like when they're both combined together. And actually, before we do that, what I like to do is I'm gonna actually pan our new guitar to the right and I'm gonna pan our original guitar to the left so you can get an even better sense for what the difference sounds like. So let's go ahead and do the same thing where we start with it off. So it really adds a nice difference and almost makes it sound a little bit wider because those differences have increased and it doesn't sound so, uniform. Let's listen to it with the drums and bass now as well. So I really like how that kind of spices up what we've got already. Another thing that you can do in this process too is that you can make the guitar that you pasted the spectrum onto have a little bit more character by using the contour slider at the bottom. So if we go to our pasted spectrum guitars here, let's say we wanted to give this recording a little bit more character that's closer to the sample recording. What we can do is we can increase the contour amount, and that will increase the differences between the height of the bars. So that's going to increase the overall character of this particular spectrum paste. Let's increase the contour to about 20% on each guitar and see what difference this makes. So that's a pretty nice option when you want it to sound more drastic and have more character than you originally got when you pasted the other spectrum. Another really useful situation that you can use this in is sometimes you record guitars and they sound a little bit too different, given the style of the guitar or maybe the style of the guitarist and, the pickups, etc. So one thing that you can actually apply the same exact process to is making different guitars sound a little bit more unified in the stereo image. So I recorded the exact same thing, but on a different guitar here. So now if we open up Melodyne here, we can see the spectrum of the new guitar. So what I want to do is I want to take the spectrum from, let's say, rhythm guitar 1, which is my Stratocaster, and I'm going to copy the spectrum, and we'll go back to our new guitar here, and let's paste this, and let's also paste it onto the second guitar here as well. So now let's take a listen to what this has done. We'll start with it off. So you can hear it starting to take on that identity of the Strat a little bit more, which is cool. Now let's take a listen to what these sound like in combination now. I'm gonna pan our new guitar to the left and we'll pan our older guitar, our Strat guitar, to the right while muting guitars 3 and 4 here. So let's take a listen. So Melodyne's unique ability to analyze the harmonic spectrum of different recordings, and especially the ability for us to copy and paste that spectrum from one recording onto another, gives us some incredible tonal options. And of course, you can imagine that this doesn't just end with guitars. I mean, we could think about using this for bass, for keys, for drums, and maybe even vocals, making your vocals sound different. So thanks for watching, and we'll see you guys in the next video. Take care.